Another idea that's worth having a look at and experimenting with is the different sounds you can get whether you're using your pick to attack the strings or strum or your fingers. I've got some examples we're going to run through just to show you where the dynamics could come from. So let's say one example is jazzier, kind of more bluesy chords. So we're going to start with this chord, which we could pick on the A string, because the only fingers we've got left now are the pinky, the third and the second finger. We're going to use those for the top three strings, but here's the trick. What we're not going to do is try and put them above each other. What you need to do is turn them sideways, because if they're all fighting for the same space this way, it's going to get really crowded. So you just pull your hand this way, usually by just bringing the wrist up slightly. So here's that first chord, the A major 7. Here's the G minor 7, and then an F sharp minor 7. And it's nice, you can either pick them at the same time with the bass and the fingers, or you can do the bass and then the chord. So if you're in, let's say you're in a jazz band and you want a comp, which means kind of backing up the rest of the band, rather than maybe just using the pick all the time, you can go. Subtle way of kind of balancing the sound out, because with a pick, even if you're super controlled, there's still a certain tone you're going to get with a pick. There's slightly more of a bright attack. With you go. But there's also another use for this. Rather than softening it, you can also make it slightly more percussive. So in this example, you're giving it more of a twang, whereas if you did that with a pick, you run the risk of it sounding very clicky, but this way you can get a real nice pull on the strings. A good place to start if you want to make these kind of riffs up is pentatonic. So G, or you remember how we did the open chords, where you can use open strings, say in the key of E, we use all those open strings with the chords. In the key of G, you can use, again, some open strings. So if we're in G pentatonic, we can also use open strings. Sometimes you might want to, instead of using the pick or the fingers, you could just use your thumb. There's only a couple of things to note with this. Firstly, do what's most comfortable for you and what you prefer the sound of. Don't use your ability to be able to do something or not do it to be the deciding factor. You want to be able to use the pick, you want to be able to use your fingers, you want to be able to use your fingers and your pick, but don't use the fact that you can't use the pick and the fingers for your choice and the reason to not do it. So when you're using the pick and the fingers, remember the rule is the pick takes care of the bass note or the lower note, and you can play it before or with the rest of the fingers, and they're going to pick out 3 notes, sometimes 2 notes. You don't even need the pinky. Or 2 notes. And the trick there is to kind of get the balance. You want to practice just, it's like a claw with your fingers. You're not plucking out and you're not kind of picking. It's like a claw, you're just kind of gripping with your fingers. You want to practice getting the balance so that the volume between all the strings is even. The The other thing you want to note is if you're going to use your thumb, I would suggest, and this also applies for tapping when we look at the tapping, you want to roll your first finger so that it holds the pick. That way, when you go back to the pick, you can just quickly access it. I'm not a believer in completely losing the pick or hanging it on a mic stand or throwing it into the crowd and trying to find another one. I would just make sure you always got a pick where you need it. So just roll it against, so it's like a one finger grip. And then you can go back to your chord. Then if you ever needed a lead solo, so that's worth practicing. Just on the A minor 7, which is on the chart, and then just go through some pentatonic. And a good practice is to do a bar of each, or 2 bars if you want to get more comfortable with the changes. Let's start with 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4. With 1 bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have fun.